Hello and welcome to today's session. Today's session is entitled The ABCs in English Medium Classrooms, the A representing appreciation, the B representing bilingualism, and the C representing classrooms. My name is Rebeca Olvera-Alfaro. I'm a secondary dual language and ESL coach and facilitator. And we have la señora Susana Yanez. She is a secondary math instructional coach. We are here representing Denton ISD. Denton is north of Dallas, Texas. Most people know Denton because we have two universities, the Texas Women's University and the University of North Texas. And now la señora Yanez is going to introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. As Ms. Olvera said, my name is Susana Yanez. I am a secondary math instructional coach for Denton ISD. And I've had the privilege of working with 6th, 7th, and 8th grade emerging bilingual students on level math and intervention and then some shelter, etc.
Once again, my name is Rebeca Olvera-Alfaro. I'm a secondary dual language and ESL coach and facilitator here from Denton ISD. 13 years working here in Denton ISD, working with emergent bilinguals and multilinguals, both in the capacity as a teacher and also as a coach and facilitator. And la señora Yanez is going to go ahead and give us information about the background in regards to this wonderful presentation.
Yes, so, we want to share with you a little bit of what we have done. Of course, when we talk about the research behind translanguaging or a multilingual classroom. And so essentially what we have come across after all our research has come that students, our emerging bilinguals, learn better, they feel more validated, they perform better when they are allowed to use their full linguistic repertoire. And so that was our focus. What we decided to do is we decided to target a specific campus here in Denton ISD, and we focused on working with a specific group of English medium teachers. And by that, I mean emerging bilingual students who were in a classroom that was mostly taught in English. Ms. Olvera, will you go to the next one for me, please? So essentially what we wanted to do is we wanted to share what the multilingual classroom is with these teachers who have the opportunity to work with emerging bilinguals and who have the opportunity to teach them. And we wanted them to be able to use strategies to help students reach their full potential. And so when we talk to these teachers, when we talk to these students, we shared with them what a multilingual classroom would look like. We created a workshop. As I mentioned to you guys, these teachers were mostly working with the focus of teaching English to our emerging bilinguals, and we wanted to deviate from that. We want to shift that perspective. And so we wanted to share how teachers, how students, our special emerging bilinguals, perform better when they are, given the opportunity to use their full linguistic capabilities. And so what we shared with them is what you see on your screen right now. We wanted to reach them emotionally. We wanted them to be advocates for emerging bilingual students. And so we shared with them how emerging bilinguals feel appreciated, they feel validated, and when they are given this opportunity to truly demonstrate everything that they know in whichever language they want. It's not just about teaching them English, but truly letting them be the full rounded learners that they are.
So now I'm going to share a little snapshot of the students. Like la señora Yanez mentioned, we worked with one specific middle school campus that represents 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. We had a total of 160 emergent bilinguals represented at this one particular campus. The 160 emergent bilinguals actually make up about 20% of the entire student body at this particular middle school. We had these countries represented in regards to our students. We had China, Egypt, Guatemala, Honduras, Iran, Mexico, Nicaragua, Puerto Rico, Saudi Arabia, and USA. These students that we had represented, they represent our students that are newcomer students that have been 6+ years. Every emergent bilingual that you can think of, that's what it represents here. So in regards to the workshop that we had with our teachers, we started with the why. Why is this necessary? And when we think of English medium classrooms, we typically think of classrooms that only put emphasis on building the proficiency in English. And if that is our focus, then that's low expectations for our students, because it's limiting our students just to one particular language. When we started working with these language arts teachers, we invited them to attend a workshop, and our purpose was to share with these teachers why it is important to use the home language and ways to use the home language in the classroom. We focused on our 2 whys. And right here we have the suggestions for parents in Spanish. And it basically says in Spanish, this is not on the English one, just on the Spanish one, that although the TELPAS assesses your child's progress in using English, developing skills in Spanish will also help you improve your English. It is important to continue developing skills in Spanish while learning English. So that's the last paragraph that we have right here. And we want to talk about the importance of continuing to build the first language as we're adding another language to the students' linguistic repertoire. The second one was the terminology, the importance of using emergent bilinguals, using that terminology when we talk to our students and about our students. Our students are emergent bilinguals. Using the term of emergent bilinguals, it's a positive description of the students because it emphasizes that they're learning 2 languages and that both the home language and the new language are both valuable in the classroom. And the workshop that we used, when you get this presentation, you click on workshop and you'll have the entire workshop available to you. And hopefully you can use it or make it better. If you make it better, please share what you did so we can make ours better as well. And now la señora Yanez will share information about the multilingual classroom.
Yes, so we have shared with you, kind of the approach that we took as far as like selecting the teachers that we were decided to work with. And so the innovation that we decided to continue with was we pulled these teachers into our workshop, of course, with administration support. And we shared with them the different strategies and the different ways that we can that we can help support multilingualism in the classroom. And so as we talked about the research, as we talked about the importance of it, we also talked about the different ways that they can start implementing this in their classroom. We have a list for you right here on the screen of what we presented to them. So, multilingual word banks, word walls, multilingual instructional strategies with translation. So giving the students the opportunity to demonstrate the learning that is happening in whatever language of their choice, whatever they feel more comfortable demonstrating everything that they're learning in that classroom. Multilingual classroom libraries, which we will go into more detail here in a second. But just having those books that are reflective of who these students are, in their language, in their home languages and in English, but being able to go back and forth and giving them that choice of seeing those windows and those mirrors in their library. Of course, culturally relevant mentor text. And one of the big ones is having that family involvement in the classroom experience. So giving them the opportunity to bring this back with them. The first approach, of course, because obviously, we're presenting this new research to these teachers who have not seen that before, who have for so long have heard you need to teach emerging bilinguals how to speak English, that's your goal. They need to pass TELPAS, right? We knew that we needed to present this research and we needed to narrow it down to specific ways that they were able to achieve multilingualism in the classroom. And so one of them was creating multilingual word walls, word banks. And so what we did is we talked to the teachers and we talked about what relevant vocabulary are you covering in your class right now. So do you, for example, if they were covering main idea, the unit, okay, what vocabulary do the students need to know so that they have it not only in English, but they also have it in their native language. And so, for example, we specifically worked with a 6th grade teacher who found all those sentence stems, all that vocabulary, those discussion boards that she was fixing to post, and she submitted them to us on a Google form. Most of her students were Spanish speaking, or all her students were Spanish speaking. So she only needed for us to translate it to Spanish for her. And so what we did is she would submit it on a Google form, on a Google sheet, I'm sorry. And then we would translate it for her. And then she would take that vocabulary and she would use anchor charts. She would create anchor charts. She would put them on Canvas discussion boards. She would present it to the students in the multiple languages. And that allowed her students to not only get the information in English, but also get it in their native language or in their other language. And they were able to decode and make connections and truly use their full capabilities to understand what this teacher was teaching. So they didn't just, they weren't limited to just one specific language. And so we did that with all of those teachers. We translated for them. They were able to present the vocabulary, the information in multiple languages, which ultimately led to students being more engaged and more involved in this conversation and in all of it. And so Ms. Olvera is going to talk to you about the second approach that we decided to move forward with.
So now we're going to focus on the second approach, which is the multilingual books. As you can see, we have some smiling faces right here in our pictures. We just want to take this opportunity to bring emphasis that every language arts teacher that works with emergent bilinguals are the teachers that participated in this workshop. So books, books, books. Books of so many languages were ordered with the purpose of bringing prestige to the students' home language. And this is the time we want to say thank you to TWU, Texas Women's University, and Dr. Mandy Stewart for purchasing the books. Dr. Mandy Stewart helped us select the book titles. Right here, we can see teachers are super excited to add these books to their classroom library. For many teachers, it was the first time that they had texts in their classroom that were of a different language besides English. All of this with the purpose of building the classroom library, having the students read in their first language, and also so that these books would eventually transition from classroom library to home libraries. And we are super excited that once you get this presentation, you click books, you will have access to the book list that we ordered. You also have access to where you can order them as well. I promise you, we are not getting money from this. We are just super excited to share these book titles. And once again, if you have book titles that you think that we should look into, please share that with us so that we can continue to build our book list. So now we're going to continue to share information in regards to the teacher reflection. So once again, this workshop happened and we were supporting these teachers, giving out books, seeing the smiles, but then we had to follow up with the teachers. And we followed up with the teachers 3 weeks after the initial workshop, and we were able to get information from the teachers, and we learned a lot. During these roundtables, the teacher shared about the discomfort of having students discuss in a language that was not fully understood by the teacher. The teacher shared how this discomfort helped them to understand the emergent bilingual perspective, what these students live on a daily basis in every class. The roundtable discussions focused on the positives, the vulnerabilities, and the changes to the classroom dynamics. Among the benefits, teachers shared how they are now learning the students' home language and how students are now participating more than they had before because of the use of the multilingual resources. Teachers model learning new languages as the teachers now take the role of students and the students take the role of teachers, and we are honoring what our students bring to the classroom. This aspect helps the emergent bilinguals to see the power in having their language validated in the English medium classroom. This is a time to celebrate because when we first started this, we were a little nervous. At least I was. La señora Yanez, she's never nervous. But I was nervous about how everyone would learn about the workshop and how it would be in their actual classrooms, right? And right now we are at a time where sometimes it's easier to look at the areas of need than to look at different possibilities and to see that bilingualism is a beautiful thing. And I thought that this was the perfect teachers to work with the students and to see the beauty that comes with appreciating bilingualism in these English medium classrooms. So now we're going to go on to share the quotes from the teachers. So once again, this was at a round table and the teachers were sharing different information. So I've bolded a couple of the quotes. So I'm going to read them to you. I asked students to write in whichever language, and they did. Woohoo! So the students were participating. Here's another one that shows the example of the student being the teacher. I tried to pronounce the words. Students are the experts, so it was a different experience. It was a little uncomfortable, but students are talking more. So that teacher showed the vulnerability of possibly mispronouncing a word and that it's okay, that we're going to learn it together and that it is a safe classroom. Here we have more students are willing to share in discussions, more discussion in English and in other languages. And this makes my heart so happy to talk about the more students are willing to discuss, because we all know that whoever does the most talking does the most learning. And the emphasis on all of this discussion happening in the classroom We think back of Gomez and Gomez, where they quoted that a quiet classroom is a sick classroom, and to have all of this discussion going on in multiple languages, what a beautiful experience, not only for the teacher, but for the students. This is another favorite one. I don't know what they're saying, but the work is getting done. So sometimes, or we anticipate that some people might say, well, what if they don't do the work? But if we always keep the focus on, we're using our first language to learn our second language or to still get this work done, then we're bringing emphasis to the content and to the language. So we're going to focus on that, right? Now, here's this last one. This last one we have to share. It's very important. How do I respond to other teachers that say, you need to be talking in English? Remember how we stated at the beginning of the session that if we just focus on the English, that we're doing a disservice to our students. So that is low expectations for our students, and our students deserve better than this. And La Señora Yanez is going to share about this and our next steps and how we are still going to be working with these teachers. It's not just we're done, we celebrate. No, we want to continue to celebrate, continue to support the students, the teachers, and also the administration here at this particular campus.
Absolutely. So as Ms. Olvera said, this is an ongoing process. We're not talking about just taking a strategy and implementing it. We're talking about having a shift in perspective here. We're a shift in the mindset that we've had for so long of emerging bilinguals only needing to learn English, and that's their only goal. And so as we progress through this, that is where this question comes from, like, hey, they need to be speaking English, they got to pass TELPAS, they got to do this and that. And that's what we're trying to change. That is what we're trying to do as we present this research and as we ask these teachers to share it with their colleagues, as we share it with all of you, what are the best ways for us to move forward and really support our emerging bilingual students instead of just, lowering expectations and then saying, like Ms. Rebecca was saying, like, oh, which as long as they speak English, we're good. Like, no, we really want these well-rounded, educated individuals. So our next steps working with these teachers, we are going to create a one-pager that is going to show the research supporting the multilingual classroom and why appreciating bilingualism in the classroom is so important. And of course, we want to share the examples of what they can be doing and how this is what is best for our students in our classroom. So with this one pager, we want to share it with the teachers that we work with so that they can share it with their colleagues and so forth. We also want to do this with the administration because of course the teachers that we work with know this, the administration that we work with know this, but now taking that information and truly sharing it with the rest of the campus is what's truly going to make that difference in that class, in that campus culture, and that campus appreciation of multilingualism on their campus and at their school. As well as, just continuing to support these teachers and our agents of change, because they are the ones that are leading forward as we are shifting this perspective for all the teachers on that campus on what is best practices and best work with our emerging bilingual students there. And so whether that means we continue to support them, with their multilingual word walls, word banks, translations, continuing to build on that classroom library, or perhaps they are ready for that next step, having that more family involvement, finding the culturally relevant mentor text, continuing to see where they're at and what they are ready to do next. And then, just continuing to support this change, because it is with us and it is with our practices. And, as we move forward and as we share all this research, it is how we're going to make things happen for our students.
Thank you, Señora Yanez. So here's our contact information. Please feel free to reach out if you have any questions, if you need any support, any suggestions. We're here to make this better and continue to do the work that needs to be done to acknowledge the beauty that comes with appreciating bilingualism and multilingualism in the classroom, and for our students to feel validated because what they bring to the classroom is super important. So once again, please feel free to reach out. And right here we have our resources. And once again, we will be sharing the workshop that we did with the teachers, the book list. Señora Yanez, what else?
We also have a sample of a multilingual classroom lesson plan. you know, so you can go in and see how teachers are planning they're you know, creating their lessons, etc., with multilingualism practices in mind.
And thank you so much for attending this presentation. Please feel free to reach out if you need anything. And we should be going on to the question and answer session. Thank you so much.
Thank you.